Okay, welcome back to Energy Boom 101. I'm here with Professor Erwin Corey of the Institute of Prominent Studies. Ready to go. I wish you were here. We could use them right about now. This is dispatch from the patch 3. I'm going to do a quick vault. We're going to focus on the Oklahoma City energy companies and who leads them, if we can remember who's leading them. In this episode, this dispatch from patch 3. And then we're going to probably give it a wrap up, an ending note concerning some opportunities maybe downtown Norman, since we are in Norman, Oklahoma. But for now, let's talk about the Oklahoma City energy companies that are publicly traded and that we're going to follow. So you've got Devon Energy. And for the longest time it was run by Larry Nichols. I think he's still chairman of the board. And there's another gentleman now running it, and I want to apologize in advance because I won't know how to I'll mispronounce his last name. John Reichels. I apologize, but he's running Devon. I think if you check out Devon's track record, you will find they are stellar. And apparently, based on what I read in their last investor presentation, they seem to be very happy about their Mississippi line, which is really one of about 5 or 6 projects Devon is doing. Devon's a pretty good size oil company for an independent and a major independent, and I don't know what its market cap is. Maybe 5 or 10 billion, but it's a big, solid, strong oil company, and I would guess is probably very well positioned to enjoy fruitful returns over the course of this energy boom, however long it lasts. And they've always demonstrated, I think, pretty good dispatch of capitals, or their capital. As a matter of fact, it was Devon that made a really incredible announcement 2 or 3 years ago in the newspaper, where they basically said they were divesting, selling all of their offshore assets, and bringing all that money back home to North America. So Devon's in Oklahoma City, and we're going to follow them. They're the ladies and gentlemen of the oil patch. Sandridge is up there. It used to be run by Tom Ward. You'll hear about him a lot. He's no longer there. This is a huge oversimplification, but basically it looks like the Wall Street powers that be sort of said, thank you very much for collecting a bunch of really good acreage that still has some risk, by the way, but please move on because we want to run this now. So Mr. Ward left Sandridge. I think he got about a $90 million payout or something, and I'm sure he's putting together a new company right now, but he assembled Sandridge, and we're going to want to follow them because they have an enormous position in the Mississippi line, and it's an Oklahoma City company. And then there's, of course, there's Continental up there in Oklahoma City, and we're going to follow them. That's run by Harold Hamm, old school oilman, legendary status, seems to be uncorking the Bakken, may do the same thing with the Scoop. Was apparently, I think, maybe going to be Mitt Romney's choice for energy czar. So clearly is plugged in and has a lot of influence, and I think he really wants to lead the charge to energy independence for the United States by 2020, which is a glorious concept to debate because I think Warren Buffett's partner has a piece where he feels like that's the last thing you'd want to do is have energy independence. But that said, that would be a great little debate, a throw in Manila. Harold Hamm versus, I think it's Charlie Munger. So Continental is in Oklahoma City. We'll be able to follow them. They were headquartered in Enid for a long time, but had to move to Oklahoma City based on the explosive growth, which they're still growing, and I bet will continue to grow robustly for quite some time. Although the early money may be in, check out Continental for about the last 2 years. They've probably doubled or tripled, but there's probably still room. Also up in Oklahoma City is, of course, Chesapeake, was formerly run by Arbor McClendon. Sort of the same situation with Tom Ward and Sandridge. I think probably Wall Street's powers that be swooped in and said, all right, dude, thanks a lot for putting together a world-class portfolio of assets. You're a little flamboyant for us, move on. He's since moved on, has started up American Energy Partners. We'll be following Mr. McClendon and American Energy Partners in another episode altogether, probably in the Symphony of Shale, but his former company, which he founded with Tom Ward, so you're seeing the dots connect, is Chesapeake. And Chesapeake, they brought in a new CEO when Mr. McClendon moved on. They got, I'm sure, a hot shot, because I think he came from Anadarko and was heading up their liquefied natural gas division in Mozambique. Huge project, part of the global energy rainbow. Remember the liquefied natural gas. But that former cat, and I wish I could remember his name, and I will pretty soon. Maybe Doug, is it Doug Lawler? Maybe, I can't remember. But he's running Chesapeake now. And I suspect he has a totally different style than McClendon. But if you'll read the releases that Chesapeake talks about now, they glow on their world-class portfolio of assets, which I suspect they have. It was probably gathered by McClendon and has been passed on. So Chesapeake's another huge company you're going to want to watch in the city, because they probably have really good positions throughout the United States. So you got Devon, you got Sandridge, you got Continental, you got Chesapeake. Osage is another wicked little company. They're drilling in Oklahoma. They're not necessarily an Oklahoma Energy company. Well, they are, because I think their geologist is an Oklahoma State graduate, and they've got some guys in the top brass from Oklahoma. But they'll be a really easy company for us to follow, because we don't want to get bogged down in following too many companies. We just sort of want to get a picture of Oklahoma City's boom, and Osage can help us get a good, clear picture. And we're going to follow them. They're a new little company that came on the scene, and somewhere about a year ago they produced their first well on the Mississippi line, and it was enormous, like 1,000 barrels a day, and then their stock doubled in 10 days. Pretty interesting. And they're going to be here for a few more years. So they have potential to show us. They could boom. They could be the best performing stock in the state for the next year. I don't know. But we're going to follow them. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of other Oklahoma companies we'll want to talk about. And if not, we'll definitely want to talk about the Oklahoma oilmen. We talked about Aubrey McClendon. We talked about Tom Ward. We talked about Larry Nichols. George Kaiser's another huge, legendary Oklahoma oilman that I'd love to interview George Kaiser. Kaiser Francis Oil. Then he buys Bank of Oklahoma and re-energizes that as a savings loan institution that's making energy deals. I think he was one of the first guys to get into the floating liquefied natural gas platforms. But clearly an energy genius, and probably a wonderful person, I would suspect. There'll be other Oklahoma oilmen, and Larry Nichols, obviously. There's others we're going to try and follow, and our methods are going to be really, like I say, primitive. And we're going to do a few more episodes where we focus on something if we feel like we need to. But probably what I'm going to try and do here pretty soon is just get us in the flow of just grabbing the newspaper each day and sort of reading it all and digesting it and then presenting it to you and updating the maps and then moving on, But we've talked about the Oklahoma Energy companies. We're here in Norman. Give me Boone again. This place is crazy. They're nuts here. I don't even know how we got this place. But if I remember correctly, Jeff, I can't remember. I think I had just come in from the March on Valley Forge. But this is Boom U, so we're here in Norman, and we want to show you what Norman's potential is. And so we may try and do a little side show called the Boom and Bloom that's about downtown Norman, if we got time. And because downtown Norman has probably had anywhere from 10 to 20 new businesses open in the last 2 years, which is probably 10 to 20 more businesses that ever opened in the previous 20 years. So I would offer you that is an example of this boom that we've been talking about, physically seeing it emerge. We're going to try and find someday to take you downtown Norman and do a little episode we'll call the Boom and Bloom. We may try and work that in every day, who knows, if we can get a good underwriter for this show. And right now I'm thinking that maybe Captain Crunch would love to underwrite the show, or Captain Kangaroo. But we should have a lot of fun showing you that a boom has arrived on our fair shores. It has spread from sea to shining sea. We've been fortunate enough to find this glorious little studio to set up and tell this story. We hope to get some involvement with Boom U. After all, they will be a central point of energy influence. That's just a fact, and it's a glorious one that we can use to advance our understanding of existence and of the human condition for the betterment of us all. I think. I don't know. Someone just wrote that press release. I'm going to pay them. Where are we at time-wise? 30 seconds. Not bad. Feeling good about this. The subconscious brain's probably working. Anyway, so we're going to wrap down, and I think this is dispatch from patch 3. Pretty soon we're just going to say, hey, these are dispatches from the patches. But we're going to wrap this one up, and I hope I'm not missing anything. I feel like we've sort of given you a good overview of what has sort of arrived in the lower 48 and how much potential lay in it, including all the talent that seems to be just cascading across the campus corner. I'll leave you on that note. 3, 2, 1, boom.